Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Pawsome Stamps. I am so very excited to share the new Birthday Fishes stamp set, and these images are so darling. So we're going to make an alcohol inked background to go along with these really cute images. I will be using some alcohol inks, Stream, Cobalt, Monsoon, and Laguna. I'm starting with Stream, then I'll use Cobalt, then Monsoon, then Laguna, and then I'll add some Stream again at the end. I'm also using some Brass Pinata, metallic alcohol ink, and some alcohol. And I have my blow dryer here that's on a cool setting, on like a low cool setting that's kind of pushing it around. And I'm going to lay down my alcohol, then my ink, my Brass Pinata, and then move it around with my blow dryer. I did show I had my little air pusher like that will clean your camera lens, but I actually ended up not using that. So I'm just going to layer this on top of one another. I'm not going to be super picky about how the background looks for this. To me, this is like deep ocean. It's like it's churning, and all of these colors are going to overlap one another. When I do other alcohol ink backgrounds, I'm a little more particular how I'm doing it. But for ocean backgrounds, I just really like a lot of the overlap. So as you can see, I'm working from the bottom to the top. I'm making a slimline card, which measures 8.5 by 3.5. This piece of paper is measured 9 by 4 because I know I'm going to trim it down later. I'm also using photo paper. I am using Office Depot's photo paper. I'm not using the glossy side. Believe it or not, you want to use the back side. The glossy side, the alcohol ink just does not move on it. It's just the oddest thing. So you're going to use the back side. I like Yupo paper, but this paper doesn't stain the way Yupo paper does. So like if you made a real big mistake and you wanted to wipe all of this off, it's going to come off and not stain your paper. So that's why I use the photo paper from Office Depot. So that was the Monsoon, and then I added the Laguna, and now I'm going to come back in with that Stream and Cobalt. And I kind of mixed it together and I liked it, but I felt like I needed to add a little bit more of the Cobalt because it got lost, and I think it's such a bright, beautiful color. But you can see that it's mixed there and how pretty that is. So I'm just going to continue to move that around, and I love that Brass Pinata. It really looks like a gold metallic, and I love that when I'm doing any alcohol inks. It's kind of my go-to, what I use. So I added a little more alcohol there just to get that all the way up to the top. Moving that around, and this is where I thought, you know, we need some more of that Cobalt. It's so pretty, and it's so bright and in your face, so I'm just going to add a little bit more at the top, which actually ends up being the bottom of my card, and I do flip this around when I'm adding all of my images to it. This was really a quick and easy background to make, and again, it does not have to be perfect because this is going to be the ocean, and so all of that combining and overlapping each other really does look beautiful. Okay, so we're going to put that aside to dry, and here is that cute Birthday Fishes stamp set, and look at all of the images. I used all of them except for the shark and the little seaweed, and I think that shark is so cute. I'm going to use him for another project, but I decided to use the rest of the images, and I'm going to do some zig coloring with this. So I stamped it onto some Bristol Smooth watercolor cardstock with some black ink that's watercolor friendly, and so I'm laying down my color, dipping my brush in a little bit of water, tapping it off onto my dry paper towel because I don't want too much water, and then blending out that color so I can have lighter and darker areas. And then if I need to add some more color, I can come back in. So this color is deep blue. For the whale, it's going to be deep blue and blue gray Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. For the bottom part of the whale is the blue gray. I originally started with a light gray, and it just was not gonna cut it. So I brought in the blue gray, and I love how this whale turned out. Number one, what a cute image. I mean, he is just darling. So he's kind of the star of the show for me on my background. And then all the other little fish are kind of like the supporting actors. Now that fish at the top that's kind of spiky looking, I colored him, but I ended up not using him, so I cut that part out of the video. But for this cute, I'm calling him the long fish, is turquoise green and Persian blue. I kind of stuck with blues, greens, oranges, and yellows for this. I really wanted everything to be cohesive. The top fish ended up being kind of like a blue and red, and I don't know, I just kind of felt like he stuck out like a sore thumb. So poor little guy, we just didn't use him. So I'm adding some of that, I'm adding the turquoise green and Persian blue together on the fins and the head just to get a little bit of a different color so it didn't look so flat. Then this cute little fish, I think his little shape is so darling. I'm using Persian green, emerald green, and lemon yellow. So I've got the Persian green on the top, the emerald green on the bottom, and letting those meet together. And then I'm adding the lemon yellow. And a lot of times I do end up coming back in and adding a little bit of a darker area so the shadows look a little bit better, which is what I did on this fish. That next little stripy fish is going to be orange and lemon yellow, and I think he's so, so cute. His little shape is just really fun. Obviously, you can color these images however you want. To me, it just felt like, because the background was an alcohol inked, that using like a watercolor marker seemed to be the perfect fit for these images, but Copic coloring would be really, really cute too. This little fish, I love his little shape. He's lemon yellow, orange, and cobalt blue, and I think he's one of my favorite color combinations on here. I think he's a lot of fun. So I'm adding that darker color at the top, leaving the center open so I can blend it into the center. Then I'm just using the cobalt blue for the bubbles. That last fish was red, blue gray, and Persian blue. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to die cut out all of these images. And then I have it's a stencil, like a water sunray stencil that has a little bit of pixie spray on the back, and it's adhered to the top part of my card. I'm coming in with the alcohol lift ink. So when you use this, and if you stamp it and stamp onto your alcohol ink background, it's going to take the alcohol ink off. It's going to remove it. So I thought that this would be a great way to add the sun rays instead of using like a white pigment ink. So I'm using a dedicated blender brush to this, and I'm dipping it on my ink pad, rubbing straight down that stencil, and then wiping it off on a dry rag. But you can still see that my ink pad's getting a little stained, but I'm not even worried about it. So I'm just dragging that down, removing the alcohol ink from between those stencil pieces. So when we take this back, we're going to have those water sun rays. And isn't that beautiful? I'm going to be using a wave die to die cut the top part of this slimline card. And I'm also going to trim this down smaller on the sides because remember it was a 4x9 because I knew I was going to trim it down. But this is going to be the top part of our card. Now I have the base for the slimline card, which measures 8.5 by 3.5, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the top front of that. And again, this is from the Birthday Fishes stamp set, and it says, I see, like S-E-A, we have something to celebrate, which I thought was really cute because like all of those cute little fish are just gathering. Now let's get this card together. I'm going to trim off some of the length from the bottom because I want the waves to sit right underneath the sentiment. I am going to pop this up with some real low profile foam tape. And then some of the fish images I will be popping up with a little bit of a thicker foam tape. I actually bought this foam tape on accident, but it works out nice for some of my card designs. So I'm going to put that in place, and you can see we have a little frame around the sides and the bottom, a little white frame, which I think really fits nicely on this. Let's pop up this whale. He's going to be kind of in the center towards the top, and then we've got those cute little bubbles we're going to add above him. And then we're going to place all of these other images around. I'm just deciding which fish need to be popped up and which fish are going to be flat. So 3 of the fish will be popped up with foam tape, and then the other 2 will be not popped up with foam tape. And I feel like that gives you some sort of depth, like these fish are further back and some are closer. As you can see, I'm gluing some of these off the edge, which I will trim down once everything is nice and adhered. Then we have some more bubbles I want to add. And then I decided, let's add some more bubbles to the alcohol inked background, which I could have done before I glued all my images. It's not a big deal that the images were down. I just didn't even think about it at the time until right about here. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I have some alcohol in a dish, and I have my stylus ball tool, and I'm just dipping it in the alcohol and adding it, touching it to my alcohol ink background. And you're going to see that the alcohol starts to wick away, and you're going to start seeing little circles and bubbles all over the background. It's a great and easy way to add more interest to your alcohol inked background. Had I done this at the beginning, I kind of could have flicked some on as well, like with a paintbrush. This is definitely a more controlled area, way to do it, and so I was able to put it in places I really wanted it to be, like around those colored bubbles and things like that. So really super simple, but really adds a lot to the back of your card. Now this card is completely finished, and isn't it just absolutely adorable? These images are so, so cute. So I hope that you guys really like this project. I hope that you feel inspired. Thank you so very much for stopping by and watching, and you can go check out these products at the Pawsome web store, and I also will have those linked below. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye.